So I will first begin by reading the question, and then I will begin into my 8-minute speech. So for reference to the camera, this way are the judges, and behind the camera is the opposing team. So if I'm looking straight at the camera, opposing team, judges over here. So I will begin by reading the question, and then I will start my timer and answer the question. So this is case number 13, objectivity to truthiness. The fourth estate of our governmental system is characterized by a professional ethic according to which reports must be dispassionate, unbiased, and objective conveniences of the truth, which it is believed is essential to realizing the will of the people. So-called citizen journalists have no such requirement, no professional code whatsoever. The question is, does the advent of citizen journalism undermine democracy? So I'll take 1 minute to prepare my response to this question, and then I will continue with this response. I will now begin in my argument. No, the advent of citizen journalism does not undermine democracy, because citizens are the purpose for democracy. Differing opinions need to be heard by the public to make an informed public, and citizen journalism is filling a void where others have failed. Now, before I begin into my thesis, I want to define some terms for the remainder of this period, and the first of these terms is the fourth estate. The fourth estate is a professional journalist. Professional journalists are those who take an oath and uphold professional journalism code, which is duty to seek truth and provide a fair and comprehensive account of events and issues. Now, the fifth estate is defined as a citizen journalist, which is defined as a concept of members of the public playing an active role in the process of collecting, reporting, analyzing, and disseminating news and information. Now, to define democracy, which was mentioned in the question, democracy is a form of government powered and derived by the people. So I will now go into my morally relevant parties. Morally relevant parties discussed in the case and in the question are the government, the public, the citizen journalist, and the professional journalist. Now, the government is a stakeholder in the sense that they rely on the media. They even discuss in the case as the fourth estate and the fifth estate, because the fourth estate of government suggests that journalism is relied upon by the government to inform their decisions, maybe even let their decisions known to the public in a non-objective way. And the fifth estate is, in a sense, the citizen's way of doing that. Now, if we go into the public is a shareholder because they need to be informed of information. I mean, there is information brought to you in Congress and throughout the government, and the public needs to be informed of that. Now, if we go into the citizen journalists also have a stake in this. The citizen journalists have a stake because they want to show their opinion. They want to let others know what their opinion is, and they want to help society by giving that opinion. And the professional journalists have a stake in this because they don't want their occupation to disappear. They don't want the idea of professional journalism to be corrupted by these citizen journalisms. Now, the morally relevant issue brought to us by the case and by the question is, does the advent of citizen journalism undermine democracy? Now, in the question it was stated that the Fourth Estate has a professional code, but that the citizen journalist does not. But in the thesis that was stated, it was stated that the advent of journalism, citizen journalism, does not undermine democracy because citizens are the purpose for democracy. And that is my first point. The purpose of democracy is to let everyone be able to present their views. And these ideas of the Daily Show or the Colbert Report or bloggers, they are there to discuss what they see happening. Now, in the Daily Show and the Colbert Report, which is mentioned in the case, they do it in a satirical manner. They make fun of what is going on in other realms on either Fox News or CNN or some other news source. They make fun of what's happening in the government in a satirical manner so that the public will, I guess, pay attention, because there's so many avenues of that people can get the media from nowadays, and they often turn to things like the Colbert Report or the Daily Show that is more interesting. But what I feel that this case is really trying to point out is the idea of citizen journalism, which is not really the Colbert Report or the Daily Show, but really the bloggers, the people that you go online and you can read someone named Joe Bob who decides to discuss a new bill in Congress that he disagrees with or agrees with, and you can read his thoughts on it, and a lot of times it is opinion based. But the idea that I'm pointing out is that it does not undermine democracy, because that's what democracy is. Democracy is of the people. And when people discuss their opinions and they discuss what they believe, that is okay, because that is what the public, that is what democracy stands for, is they want people to be involved in the government. And whether or not they are elected elected officials, or whether or not they take an oath, should not be the only reason that they are to be heard. Bloggers and journalists should be heard because they don't undermine democracy. To go on to the next point is that it provides differing opinions. Now, you can say that Fox News and CNN and the Colbert Report, they all provide differing opinions. But what I suggest is that they aren't really differing enough. They get on there, and the oath that the professional journalists take is that they have that they need to be unbiased and present the information, and let the public then have their own opinion. But that's exactly what the blogger does, is he produces his own opinion based on what he hears from the Fourth Estate. So the Fifth Estate is in a sense taking what they hear from the Fourth Estate and producing it from their own opinion so that others can hear what it is. So to go on to the third point is filling a void where others have failed. The Fourth Estate is failing in its area of news source. People are turning away from that news source because they want to hear other people's opinions so that they can either agree or disagree or argue their point of view based on a blog. But what needs to be heard is that the Fifth Estate is not there to, it's there to take over for the Fourth Estate, because the Fifth Estate, the Fourth Estate is not doing its job in a certain area. So one of the counter arguments is that citizen journalists do not have a professional code and are not dispassionate, unbiased, or offering an unbiased truth. But what I suggest is that that is okay, because when people present their opinions, they don't need to be tied down by a certain ethical code. They should be allowed to present their own opinions because it is a democracy. Bloggers and citizen journalists are not undermining democracy. They are the reason for democracy. So to conclude, no, the advent of journalism, citizen journalism, does not undermine democracy. Because citizens are the purpose for democracy. And differing opinions need to be heard by the public to make an informed public. And citizen journalism is just filling a void where other news sources, like the Fourth Estate, have failed. Thank you. So, according to my watch, that was 8 minutes and 41 seconds, so I was 40 seconds over. So I have to, I guess, tone it down a little bit, or shorten it a little bit, and maybe make my points a little bit more concise.